and welcome back to this week's Real Estate Producer Show. I'm Kara, and I'm here with Chung from Pillar to Post and Mike and Nicole from Hall Financial. Welcome, everyone. So we're so excited. We're changing it up a little bit this week, and we have an inspector. I feel like this is like the most inspections are kind of, we're getting some mixed reviews these days.
Yep.
And as you said, you're getting lots and lots of questions. So we're super excited to hear from your perspective and to just dive in.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So first off, how did you get started in the industry? Was this like a lifelong goal of yours? Did you fall into it? How did you get started?
It kind of fell in my lap. I used to work for the United States Army Corps of Engineers, and it kind of coalesced into also knowing construction knowledge. And I kind of did in my early 20s doing home inspection on the sides, and kind of got fully immersed into the inspection and enjoyed it so much, where I got to meet new people and see different houses every day.
More important, how'd you rip your pants today?
I'm sorry?
I said, more important, how'd you rip your pants today?
Oh, yeah. You're going right from an inspection, I said you're a hot commodity, but
that's really
why
we brought you here.
Crawl spaces, I love getting in those crawl spaces underneath houses and crawl around and snag my pants on a piece of screw from sheet metal and more damage.
That's how we have that. You can't see it, but that's indeed a hole.
Hey, Young, so right now, it's the industry's it's crazy right now. It's insane. People waiving inspections. What do you tell people, or what would you even tell realtors when somebody wants to waive an inspection? What do you tell them?
Try not to do it. I've done probably about 20 to 25 inspections within the past 6 months on post closings where people actually closed on the house and had me come in to do inspections to see what they bought. I'd have to say about a third of them, there were some horror stories where it's almost heartbreaking, where one guy really lost his shirt on it. He was in his mid-20s, so he's kind of put himself underwater. Didn't realize that he had roof issues, crawl space issues, pest issues, and also some bad wiring work. So going into this, he's starting on the wrong foot. So the other places, some people got lucky and there weren't any issues, but it's a big risk to take.
So when somebody says, hey, I'm not going to do an inspection because I really want to get this house, what do you tell them?
I say, well, someone just texted me today. They were going to set up an inspection, but their buyer decided to waive the inspection so that way they can ensure to get their house that they wanted, and they were going to call me after they close. And so the realtor just had them make sure that they were aware of what they were doing and waiving the inspection clause. So I just tell them, just beware, and the agent that I work with is pretty well versed on buildings, so kind of have a good start, hopefully, to make sure that there aren't too many red flags.
So I kind of want to go into, so you said that over 20 individuals in the last month have
6 months.
6 months have asked for an inspection after they close.
Yeah.
So what is the tone of like how they are asking? Like, are they asking you because they themselves are seeing some issues? Is it a mix between that, or because they're like, okay, I just wanted the house, I'm in it, what do I need to fix? Is it a mix? Like, how does that even happen after closing?
It's a mix.
Okay.
But for the most part, it's people who bought the house closed and they want me to come in a couple days or a week after they close because they just want to know what they need to do while the house is empty before they get in.
Okay.
So I'd have to say most of the time they haven't come across any issues yet, but there were a couple where, all right, I spotted some moisture coming in through one of the ceilings. I'd like you to come out and take a look and do the rest of the inspection while you're here.
Okay.
So what are, when people are following you around during an inspection, or, they're taking their measurements or whatever they're doing, what are questions they should be asking, or what are their things that they should be looking for?
So basically, if you're going through an FHA or VA, you're looking for safety concerns with broken glass, handrails, GFCI receptacles, trip hazards. But on your own, you're looking for any type of risk for moisture entry, any risk for any type of structural settlement concerns that you can physically see through the brick veneer, foundation blocks, concrete. But also you're looking for pest droppings and any type of environmental concerns with any type of mold growth that you might spot somewhere.
Yeah. So it kind of sounds like if someone's questioning it, they should just ask you.
Yeah,
it's the questions
pretty
that they
much.
should be asking. If anything looks off, then definitely ask your inspector.
For sure, and any good inspector, as I tell all my clients in the I do a little introduction when everyone shows up, and I always tell the clients to ask as many questions as you can while you have me here. Because if you call me 3 months later, I'm not going to retain all this information.
Yeah.
So it's best to ask them now. I want to make sure by the time you leave today, you got a full understanding of the condition of the house. But not only that, but also the maintenance and care of the house, and also common concerns for a home of the age. And I always make a joke that more gray hairs that I get, worse my memory gets. So make sure you ask them.
So what advice would you give to a seller before they put their home on the market? What are some things that a seller should really take a look at? Should they do a pre-inspection before the house goes on the market? Or what would you tell them what are some 3 major fixes that they should concentrate on before it goes on the market?
So any realtor would probably be a great resource for what you need to do to get your house listed. Decluttering, emptying out as much as possible. But doing your typical routine maintenance, making sure your caulk lines are nice and clean and tight, making sure you get your furnace serviced and clean, just doing the routine items. But the biggest thing is making sure it's decluttered. But for the inspection part, if you want to get a pre-listing, it's not a bad idea. Right now, we haven't done many just because the market's so lean with the inventory. So go back 5 years ago, we were doing a ton of pre-listings. Now we're not really doing too many just because once something gets listed, it's pretty much gone. So haven't done many pre-listings past year.
From your perspective, in the perfect world, would you do a pre-listing inspection? Say everything, stars align, everything's great, interest rates are great, there's enough inventory, time is not a factor. Would you still recommend a pre-listing inspection, or do you not think it's necessary?
I would 100% recommend it, because if you get that pre-listing, you can know what issues you may have prior to having anybody come through. So when you do a pre-listing inspection, you're going to get rid of a lot of the red flags. So when you do your showings or an open house, when people come in, you get rid of these red flags that you might not be aware of because you're just too close to the forest to see the trees. That means you're going to get more offers. And at the same time, if there's any major issues, you can get them corrected before their inspection. So that way you're not having to renegotiate anything and have your house there, and then the dreaded thing is have it come back on market. And wasting all that time. So it's always a good idea to get a pre-listing done so that way you can avoid those pitfalls.
Yeah, that's good to know.
What about when you're finding problems, you find mold, you find some things that can be scary to people that don't know? How do you walk the line of explaining it to them without scaring them off on the house? So
the biggest thing is I learned doing this for almost 20 years now, which is crazy, is if you point things out that are wrong, quote unquote, with the house, people get scared if they don't have an understanding why, because a mystery is scary if you don't know what's behind the curtain. So one thing I pride myself on is showing them what is wrong with whatever we're looking at, but explaining why it happened and what we can do to course correct what happened. So once you explain why something happens and they get an understanding of why it happened, it really takes a lot of that fear away. So it doesn't scare people as much as long as they got a good understanding of what's going on.
Is there one specific issue that you often see that seems a little bit bigger than it is, and then you can kind of talk some clients off the ledge of okay, it's not that bad?
Yep.
So what's one common thing that people are usually first reaction is, oh my God, and they're so scared?
Like Mike brought up, mold.
Okay.
People hear dreaded 4-letter word mold, people freak out.
Okay.
And we address the situation on what needs to be done, why it happened, and what you can do to remediate it. And the process of mold remediation is just not cleaning up the mold, but it's also altering the environment so it doesn't come back. Or else what's the point, right?
Yeah.
But when people hear mold, they freak out, but quite often it's very easily corrected.
Okay, nice.
And you're not out being a handyman or anything right now, but so how do you handle it? Because I know everyone always wants to ask, how much is this going to cost me?
So right now it's kind of a little trickier just because of COVID and everything's just an inflation. So everything's more expensive than it was. So right now, what we tell people, if they ask me, how much is this hot water tank? And I'll say, normally a 40-gallon tank is going to run you this amount of money. But right now with supply chain, lack of labor, you're looking to add about another 20% to most things right now, unfortunately.
Do you like those questions, or do you hate them when you get the cost question?
I don't mind them at all.
Yeah.
It's sometimes when people ask me for an estimate and I kind of give them a ballpark range, and then you got, as you know, a dad out there who knows more. and tries to interject and say, no, it's this much. And then later on, I'll get an email and say, oh, okay, my dad was kind of wrong,
Yeah.
Then I don't want to, I never send a reply that says, told you so, but that's what I'm thinking,
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. You guys have any further questions while we're here? Because as he said, while he's here, you have to take advantage of him and ask all the questions.
Actually, I do. So when you do have a situation when there's, a parent there, let's say the dad with the daughter, the daughter's buying the house and the dad's there, and the dad's in there with, while you're tinkering and he wants to tinker too. So how do you deal with the background noise from the parent?
So basically what I do is I make sure to make the parents or uncle or whoever is there comfortable that I'm there for the benefit of their son or their daughter, letting them know that I'm here to take care of them, to let them know exactly what they're purchasing. And then once they kind of get a feel of who I am and the way I come across and the way I'm explaining things, I'd say most of the parents are like, all right, they're in good hands. I'm going to sit back. And then most parents typically interject at the end of the inspection on how they feel what needs to be renegotiated for concessions or repair work.
And do you ever respond back when they're having that conversation? Parents or no parents there, the clients are there talking about it. Well, oh my gosh, Young just told us we have to change door knob. Like there's the little things and there's the really big things. How do you tell them? Like these little things are okay. You're not buying a brand new house.
Yeah.
It's
well,
okay.
even brand new houses need things that are done. So I tell everybody, no matter what house you're purchasing, there's always going to be concerns that need to be addressed. There's no such thing as buying a house not doing anything. So as my morning inspection before the crawl space when I was in Detroit, and the lady was overwhelmed, and I had to reassure her. I was like, these are little things that kind of feel overwhelming because I'm hitting you with so much information in literally first 10 minutes of the inspection around the outside, because they get overwhelmed because not only am I pointing things out, but then I explain the maintenance and care, so it kind of feels
A lot, yeah.
a lot and gets snowballed. But I make sure that they know that these are common things that we're going to find. If you decide to go to a different house, we're probably going to come across the same things there.
Right. Absolutely. That makes sense. But we appreciate you being on here and answering all of our many questions. See, we even have follow-up questions there too. So that's so important. And I know that there's been so many mixed reviews on inspections. I feel like it's like pineapple on pizza.
Right.
So you absolutely need your inspection, and absolutely pineapple goes on pizza. So just saying. But we appreciate you so much. And if anyone has any questions, he is definitely your guy. And as always, like and subscribe.
Thanks, Young. Thank
You're
you.
welcome, guys. Nice seeing you guys.
Thank you.